Hey guys, I wanted to bring you guys a video talking about the OCG Banlist since it recently did come out, and I know Mega Capital G did do a recap on the list, but I wanted to, bring my 2 cents in and my opinion on why I feel, OCG did what they did. But before I get into that, cue the intro.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate party flavor, baby. You know. Yeah.
Alright guys, so I'm going to go straight into the list. The first thing banned, really, there's only really one card, and that is Level Eater. As a TCG player, and not many actually do this, I know me and Chris from Team Innovation Yugioh do pay attention to what is going on in the OCG, and a either Synchron deck or I believe Dark Heroes do play it as well, but a Synchron quick draw, whatever you want to call it, quick Doppler synchro deck, it's been topping almost every week, and I'm pretty sure there's more reasons why the card should be hit. But the fact that it's not once per turn and it allows you a free synchro summon at any time, I feel it's kind of broken. And the fact, like I said, it's not once per turn, so you can use it multiple times. That's the only thing really forbidden. Now let's jump into the limited side. The first card is Cyrus Time. Now, I was not around when Cyrus Time was a thing, but I do know what the card does. For anybody who does not know what Cyrus Time does and wasn't around by then, basically you get to pay 5,000 life points to special summon a fusion monster from your extra deck, aka Noden, I believe, Windows a card, a whole bunch of other it's basically a free fusion special summon. But with 5,000 life points, I mean, I just think it's a hefty cost, even if you play it in the TCG, just because of the fact that there's so many decks nowadays that focus on OTKing your opponent as fast as they can. But that's besides the point. They limited it, and I personally don't know why. I mean, I guess you can kind of use it in DVDs if you want to, or just, for Noden, but I really haven't paid attention to see why Cyrus Time really got limited. Again, I've never been around here in the TCG long enough to see the impact that Cyrus Time used to do. The next card that they limited is Magician of Faith. Now, Magician of Faith, I really do feel really hasn't really impacted the meta in OCG. I haven't really seen any other deck lists, at least so far, that Yugioh organization does post, that has impacted the OCG. I know here in the TCG, I believe it is at 3, and it hasn't done anything. And I also do think it's too slow of a card. I mean, yeah, we have different metas here in the TCG versus the OCG, but you can kind of go around there and see what's being played, whether it's new archetypes, new deck ideas. Next card that they limited is Magispector Kieran. I believe OCG Konami decided to go with the TCG and put Kieran to 1. I personally don't like the card just because once it's out, it's kind of hard unless you have Solemn Strike or whatever to stop the effect of the bounce effect. It's kind of like back in the day when people used to play Dark Worlds and Grappa was so annoying just because of the fact when it is discarded, not by cost, but when it is, you get to pop a card. Plus, I mean, come on now, Eradicator used to be abused in the deck, and still kind of is depending on how to revolve the deck around the card. But the next card that they limited, which is the last thing on the limited side, is Saiframe Omega. Now, I know in the OCG, and I know recently here in the TCG, Saiframes have been topping, and I believe there are other decks that have been abusing the card. It's a generic synchro, so you can really make it in almost any deck as long as it can make it. And the fact that you can abuse Omega with Pot of Cupidity, I don't know the exact reason why, but let's just say the card's busted. Now let's go into the semi-limited list. Artifact Marltech. Now, I don't know exactly if it was at 3 or if it was at 1, and Konami decided to either put it down to 2 or put it up to 2. But this kind of gives Hat an advantage in a way, or really any other deck that really uses artifacts or abuses it. I believe artifact Shaddolls can be a thing. I believe constructs at 1 in the OCG. I could be wrong. Then you have BLS, which is Black Celestial Soldier Envoy at the beginning. I didn't really see it do anything in the OCG. And they limited DDD Lamia, I believe is how you say it. I don't know exactly why, but obviously DDDs have been kind of going rampant in the OCG just because they have the full support and the deck is very powerful. And when we do get that structure deck for DDD, best believe DDDs are going to be a part of the meta here in the TCG. Then they decided to semi-limited Swirl Slime, which I don't think really hurt the deck too much, just because of the fact, I mean, you could still get the one that you banish for the effect with Bearer from Different Dimension. You can use that card, and whatever, you know, is banished, you could bring it back to your grave, and then you have it there. The next card is Wisdom Eyes Magician. I haven't really seen that many OCG decks that I've seen from Yugioh organization. Really top with this card unless you're playing Metafo, Magician, or something like that. But I just don't see really why they had put it to 2. Then it was a really shocking choice, but then again I see why, which is Inzektor Dragonfly. As you guys know, I believe Dragonfly is at 1 here in the TCG, and many players do want it to get bumped up, but Konami doesn't want to. This kind of helps Inzektors if you do play Inzektor artifacts, and that means Inzektors can see a little more play there in the OCG. You also, the next card I believe you can also play, which is Mathematician. I believe Mathematician got hit to 1 when Shaddolls was a thing in the OCG. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's kind of cool to see that Mathematician isn't at 1 anymore, and the fact that they bumped it up to 2 just because the card's not being played anymore and it's not as effective. Then you have the Star Seraph Sovereignty, which is the chair for the deck, and I can see why, just because of the fact that Cyber Angels are a thing and people are actually playing the Star Seraphs in the Cyber Angel Herald deck, but it really didn't hurt the deck just because of the fact that you still have 2, and whenever you do the little combo to bring the stick and the chair, I mean, that's just one less draw you have and one less special summon monster you do have when you do the combos right. The next card with semi-limited is El Shaddai Fusion. I kind of wish that TCG Konami ended up bringing El Shaddai Fusion to 2 here in the TCG, but I guess they feel since Shaddai trains are a thing in the TCG now, they don't want that to be a super powerful deck like they're in OCG. The next thing is Monster Gate. Now, I believe Monster Gate was either at 2 or 3 there in OCG, and Infernoids have been popping up here and there in the OCG. So, plus that's a card they abuse in the deck. The last card for semi-limited is Domain. I mean, obviously, Domain really wasn't here in the TCG, but in the OCG, I guess they felt Domain was a hittable, offense. Now, for the last but not least, no longer on the list. This is pretty interesting. Cleafort Scout. You should expect, if you're an OCG player, if you love Clees, get your 2 Scouts. If you don't, you better be siding that Pendulum hate, because Clees are going to be back. They have Pot of Cupidity, and they have Card of the Mind. Just be expecting to see a lot of pay 800 and search. Then you have Sangan. As you guys know, in the OCG they do have Burning Abyss, and I believe Burning Abyss is a little more powerful in the OCG at the current moment. Obviously, I wish Sangan was here. In the arms of the angel. But Sangan's an unban worthy card. Then you have Thousand Eyes Restrict. I mean, it was gonna come because it's not really doing anything. I mean, it is past its prime. It doesn't really it doesn't really affect the game anymore, at least in my eyes. Then you got Charge of the Light Brigade. That also does help Light Swarms or any mill deck, for that fact of the matter. So be expecting a lot of mill decks, Chaos Dragons, Light Swarms, Light Swarm Infernities, etc. Obviously, the next one is Sinister Shadow Games. I know that was being played somewhere around when Shadows were a meta deck, maybe at 1, but I don't really see, card really wasn't that impactful. And then the last card, which is mind-blowing, which is Wall of Revealing Light. That's insane. That means just people are going to pay life points for no apparent reason. And here's a cool trick if you do want to keep Wall of Revealing Light on board. The cool trick is you use cards like Fake Trap or Imperial Custom, and it basically keeps the card on the field if you pay the heavy cost. So if you're an OCG player, play cards like Fake Trap and Imperial Custom and you will be fine if you paid a whole bunch of life points for the card. And basically, I mean, Demise decks say hi. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this video was a little bit longer than my other videos, but I wanted to try something different. I also wanted to put my 2 cents on the new OCG Banlist. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys do think I missed some, or there are some things that I could have implemented in the video about certain things while you feel Konami OCG did what they did to the OCG. And I guess just hit that like button for Dark Law if you love him. Also, go check out my guest upload on Team Innovation Yugioh's channel. I feel it's probably one of my best videos I have ever made. So go check it out. Don't forget like, subscribe, and comment. As always, it's JumpBusy961. Doses. I want to give you guys a pretty interesting deck profile, and that is of Metaphor Infernities. Pot of Cupidity, or I'm probably going to butcher the TCG change name.